racing right now.
He's got traction, he's over the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Good evening and welcome to the blipclothing.com hard and fast series brought to you by the driversclub.net.au. Here on SimSpeed TV, we're headed to Charlotte. It's not the Oval, it's not the road course, it's not the Legends Oval, but it's the Legends Road Course, which is quite the racetrack. It's quite tight, which might be a bit of an understatement at that. My name is Ryan Jones, alongside me Reese Gardner. Reese, this place uses some of the normal road course, but then it has a piece of the racetrack which is about 2 cars widths wide.
Yes, indeed it does. The final sector at this track is really silly, and I absolutely love it for it. This is the Legends Road Course Short, and we're going to take a look at exactly where it is and exactly what it entails. Charlotte in North Carolina, the home of stock car racing in the grand old US of A. And Charlotte Motor Speedway's been around since the 1960s or thereabouts. It's been a center for NASCAR for a very long time. A lot of NASCAR teams actually have their factories around the Charlotte area, and this is the speedway itself. That is what we're using. That little squiggle in the middle, basically a rectangle with 2 long hairpins, and that section just below the number 8 that you see on screen is the very narrow section that we just referred to. But everywhere else, the track is incredibly wide. It's got plenty of cement and extra tarmac that you can use without any penalty. So This is going to be quite the challenge.
It definitely will be. It's going to make our race starts a little bit interesting. We are going back to rolling starts, which means we've had 2 rolling start races so far this season. So we hit round 4. On board with Jordan Pruden, you take the right there. So that cuts off some of the standard road course. This was all part of the old road course, which got redone and remodeled and then was just never used again for regular Cup Series action, where they use that part of the racetrack. And then this is where you take the right, and you see it's a bit of a chicane almost through there. You keep it flat, but that could provide some interesting finishes.
Yeah, certainly could. If you get a good exit out of the turn preceding it, then going side by side through there is not the best idea in any case. So the drivers will have to be careful about when they make those moves. Fortunately, once they pass that wall, the track opens up quite a bit. And the infield section of this circuit is one that I find particularly interesting because that double left-hander in the middle, it's very difficult to try and keep the front end turning through that corner, because very tempting to jump on the throttle like, yes, I'm at the exit, but no, you've still got half the turn to go.
Using this version of the road course, I think, completely changes the complexity of the Charlotte Roval, because normally this place is a fast-flowing circuit, but cutting the sort of middle straight in half and turning right, and then you have that double left-hander as a result, takes away some of the flowing nature and makes it, I think, a much more technical circuit, more difficult to get the car through, which might offer up a couple more overtaking opportunities around this place, which is going to be needed, because normally most of the opportunities come thanks to slingshots out on the oval, but we're not using much of the oval today, not using any of it, are we?
No, we're completely on the infield.
Within the middle, yes.
Indeed we are, and the opening section as well is going to be quite interesting, because if you want to try and set a fast lap in qualifying, you have to start braking for that first turn there at the bottom left. You've got to start braking for it before the start-finish line. So
where is that line then?
The line is, as we pan down, thank you very much, Jay, there is one of the cones over there on the right, the orange traffic cones, and there is the other. That is the start-finish line.
They don't even look straight.
No, I think it actually goes at an angle across the circuit, which is certainly going to make things interesting. And you really see just how narrow that fast chicane at the end is, too.
And if you go up to the right, if we keep panning up to the right, look at the grandstands. One of the cool features I like about this track is that there's actually suites. There's people that actually live at Charlotte Motor Speedway. One of them's got quite a decent following on Twitter. I think his name's Christian Espinoza. And he lives up in one of those suites, which is a pretty cool place, I'd imagine. So it takes on-track accommodations to a whole other level.
Yeah,
at Charlotte
certainly
Motor
does.
Speedway. I don't think it's the only track in the country that does it either. Which is a pretty cool fact.
Yeah, very cool indeed. I'd certainly like to chip in with a few of my mates and grab one of those suites and have a nice home at the home of NASCAR. But going across the rest of the circuit, you see that is where the hairpin section diverges from the main road course. And this turn here, which is normally a right-hand kink that you're braking through to try and take the right-hander that comes up next, it's been turned into somewhat of an open hairpin on this layout. And the drivers really have to delay getting on the throttle in these rallycross cars.
Yeah, I think, well, rally, if we're going to use some rally terms, I think co-drive would describe it as a right hairpin opening, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's quite open, and you can head up the hill. We're really making Jay work for once as he pans across using this camera shot. It is a great shot. Almost like a drone cam, isn't it?
Yeah,
Can't
it
quite
is.
see the elevation change there, but that becomes a bit of a blind corner as you then dip back down the hill, and then obviously normally you take the left and it will bring you back to the oval, but instead we do this. It's like an alleyway, but a road course. Luckily, the grass seems to be very well trimmed in this virtual scan of Charlotte, so if you do touch it, it doesn't unsettle the car like some other tracks out there on the surface. And I don't know where we're going now. It's where the trailers park.
Have a look at all of these trailers up here and the start-finish line of Charlotte Motor Speedway. Fun fact, the long version of the Legends Road Course actually takes this start-finish section in reverse and then turns right there to take the Legends Oval. Legends Road Course long is actually quite fun here. I did a fun race with my team. We drove the Pro 2 light trucks there, and it was an absolute blast. But this layout that we're using today, just as awesome, I think.
Yeah, that Legends Oval was a bit crazy as well. It's so short. But we're not using the oval today. It's so rare you come to an oval track and you don't use any part of the left-handed facility. But we are going to get a completely different type of race today. Look at the timing sheets, by the way, here in practice. Jake Robertson is up at the top. We haven't seen him before. Hugh McLaughlin is second, and the margin, it doesn't exist.
Not at all. You see Jeremy Clark and Michael Skurlock there, separated by a mere 0.003 of a second. Matthew Feldman very close by as well, completing the top 5. And then looks like that's the biggest gap to 6th and 7th there. James Revolt and Mia Rose in the 09, with Jordan Pruden in 8th. So that top 5 is going to be insanely competitive tonight.
Half a second covering the top 17 drivers I think I saw there, maybe 15. Feldman, of course, made his debut last weekend. Was very fast. Last week, rather. Was very fast. And looks like he might carry that form. Now, that's one of the issues of that corner. One of the only places on the track where it's quite likely you can hit the fence. Because you try to turn it in as tight as you can to get it up and over that little crest. And the concrete can come up very quickly.
Certainly can. And in these rallycross cars, they got over 600 horsepower, 4-wheel drive as well, so you do suffer a bit of understeer when you initially get on the throttle in these things, so it's a bit of a balancing act, and you see Cameron Dance there lifting the inside rear. Look at that. He has really got that thing set up for the mechanical grip through the corners.
Set up for some two-wheel action is what it is. Let's get into qualifying then. Remember, they get 8 laps to put down the best time they can. They go out there in groups all at the same time, but each driver can only see 5 other people on the racetrack with them. We can see them all. So who are we going to look at first? It's Cameron Dance.
And a bit of an update, it seems, from race control. Jake Robertson in the InSim chat asking for some clarification on the rule about taking it flat out across the start-finish line. Because in these cars, you have to start braking before the line in order to make turn one. So that can be easily abused by drivers who just go flat out across the line and yeet it into the wall. Well, apparently you can't do that. You have to make the apex of turn one.
We saw this scenario at mid-Ohio, didn't we? With that keyhole, I think we were calling it. Where you got to brake for turn one before the start, or at the start of the finish line. And we saw in the race some wild finishes with drivers opting not to brake or lift off at all. In qualifying, I think, well, it'll be interesting. You can't really place it all every single car, can you? I imagine some drivers might fully commit themselves across that line and then take a tow back to pit lane as Rewalt goes to the top. 37.261, 18 hundredths of a second quicker than Jake Robertson, Hugh McLaughlin, Adam Neal, Simon Mizomo, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Saw Purley for a 2nd, and here's Pruden.
Jordan Pruden, of course, running in 3rd in the championship, and immediately jets himself up to that 6th place position. Very well done from him. But once again, it's Jeremy Clark, actually, who's managed to nab that top spot in the last couple of moments. A mere 300ths ahead of James Rewalt. And that is a bit more taking liberties with the wall there from Rewalt. Trying to find a bit of pace.
Yeah, you don't want to get into the wall at this place. The only places you're going to find the wall, really, without a big mistake, the inside of that corner and the inside of the other one we highlighted earlier, and both of them are solid concrete. They'll do a lot of damage to your car. Of course, there's plenty of padding around the outside of turns 1 and 2 as well, as you can see there.
Michael Skurlock in the Worm Paints Beetle, currently in 8th at the moment. If he wants to get onto that pole position, he's going to have to find 4 tenths, which is quite the challenge around a track as short as this. And on board with him through the final chicane, you see just how narrow it is and just how little margin for error there is in that section. But turns 1 and 2, incredibly fast and flowing. You can take him a little bit faster than you think because you can use that tarmac on the outside of the circuit. We're racing to American racing rules here today. If it's paved, you can race on it.
Looks like the cones are straight from that angle, but I don't think the camera angle is straight, so I still don't know. As a flash across the screen was Daniel Stevens. Currently only 20th. That's a lot lower than we expect to see him.
Yeah, Daniel Stevens has shown great pace in these rallycross cars, and I think he deserves better results than he's gotten. He's just been caught up in incidents with other drivers, which has severely damaged the results he can get. So if Stevens can find a little bit more pace here, might be one step more towards eradicating that bad luck of his. What does he do this time round? 38.37. That's not faster than his fastest.
We were on board with him for that double left-hander. It looked like a torturous corner, didn't it? A never-ending wait to get on the throttle, and you can never have enough steering lock in to get it through. Jake Robertson from UK and Ireland. So he's up at a interesting time of the day.
Yeah, it'd be about noon in the UK, wouldn't it? And Jake Robinson goes 2nd with that particular time, 37.168 from him. And that only puts him just under a 10th behind Hugh McLaughlin, who has absolutely smashed it in that particular run.
I wonder if he didn't brake for turn 1.
I wonder if he didn't either. That would be interesting.
Rewalt wide of the apex, abandons that lap. Jeremy Clark through 1 and 2. Now, the thing you're going to be careful of with this long right-hander, a lot of it's spent on the throttle, is not to let the car slide on the exit.
Yeah, and turning it in for the right-hander, you got to really fire it towards this double left-hander and on board with him through it. I talked about this corner. It's another torturous section of turns on this track. You just got to keep turning and keep turning and keep turning. Angle. Yeah, winding it all on and using a bit of throttle to steer the car on the exit. Clark running a little bit wide of the curb there. That's not going to help him too much, but is this going to be a faster lap from him? 37.503? No.
Didn't think so. I think you sort of learn is to be really smooth on the steering inputs, isn't it, Reese? And use as little as you can to avoid scrubbing the tyres, but a lot of drivers seeming to not take that in their stride in these particular cars. Of course, rallycross cars are designed to have some pretty slick turning radiuses, or radii. I think would be the correct term.
I believe it is.
Also designed to be sideways, so their immense power does result in some hairy moments on road course, on the road sections of rallycross tracks, and of course on full-fledged road courses as well, like we're on today. And half the battle is keeping them pointed in a straight line, which I've got to say, since week 1, drivers seem to be doing a better and a better job of.
Yeah, it takes a while to... Oh, there we go. Definitely didn't lift across the line there, did Jonathan Bain. Yeah, these cars, they do require a bit of time investment to really get a hang of them because, you know, initially you get into a rallycross car and you think, yeah, I can just drive as hard as I possibly can, sideways every corner, but it's actually not the fastest way to go around. These cars really like it when you're smooth and precise with your inputs, and they definitely don't like to slide too much. They will forgive you if you slide a little bit, but if you go full-on initial D into the corners, you will pay for it in overheated tyres and slow lap times.
The Feldman using up some of the runoff and using up the concrete.
Yep, turned in a bit too much there, did Matt. Outside the top 10. He's going to have to pull something out in these last couple of minutes if he wants to improve his position, but we're going to wait and see. He's only done 6 qualifying laps, so he has one more chance. What about William Murray? We've seen him have quite a few adventures, especially last round in 19th, and doesn't look like that's an improvement for him either.
Jeremy Clark, I think, is in pit lane. He's done his 8 laps, so he's starting no higher than 3rd, or rather, he, at the moment, he has got himself pole for Heat 3. Who else is on the racetrack? Jordan Pruden? Doesn't look like it. Dave Roberts? That's a no. 23 drivers in total, and we can't seem to find any of them.
Yeah, looks like Cameron Dance just slowed down, and oh, yep. It's, who is that in the Beetle? I'm trying to scroll, but I couldn't see. William Murray is still out on track, and Matthew Feldman has come out for one final run. So it's just the 2 Subies out there on the racetrack, and Feldman really pushing it.
Where Feldman went off earlier on when we last saw him, looks like these two are in the same group as well. We can see them both at the same time. Is prime real estate for sponsorship boards. It was 2 years ago, I believe, at Charlotte Roval when the Cup Series came visiting. Someone took one of these sponsor boards to the left, right there, with them, and carried it with them for about a lap or so on the front of their car, which was quite the sight.
I'll bet it was. And Matthew Feldman improving to 9th there. Yeah, good stuff there from Feldman to gain all of that in the dying seconds. William Murray has completed all of his laps as well, so it looks like that is qualifying done.
The good thing is he pulled it up for 1 and 2 as well, so he didn't go for the big launch in.
And we appear to have, we briefly lost Ryan Jones there, but he has returned to us. Do you have us, Ryan?
I pressed the wrong button.
Oh, no.
Yeah, let's have a look at our qualifying results then, should we? Jack Robertson, he's got the pole. He's fastest man, he'll have pole for Heat 1. Hugh McLaughlin will have pole for Heat 2. Clark, pole for Heat 3. Rewalt, Kent, and Dance, 4th and 5th. John Schultz, 6th. Michael Skurlock, Purley, 7th and 8th. Feldman and Stevens, 9th and 10th.
And we do have a grid for Heat 1 now. It's 6 cars per heat here tonight, and it looks like we're going to have 4 of them to boot. So it's Jake Robertson and Cameron Dance on the front row of this one, Feldman and Mazomo taking up row 2, and the field rounded out by Weston Newell and Daniel Stevens in the 2 Beetles.
So let's get ready for heat number 1. Going to be a rolling start behind the pace car, the RSing Porsche safety car. Now, my question is, where did the pace car peel off?
I believe that technically the pits here are where you peel off to the left just after the right-hander over the crest, and there's a little hairpin turn. You loop back around to the pit exit that you see behind the drivers there. So the pace car's going to pull off just after they come over that crest, I believe.
Away we go. This is your starting grid. Robertson, Dance, Feldman, Mizomo, Newell, and Stevens. So 2 TechSense Fitstar Motorsport drivers. I think they're the only teammates in the field, potentially, in this heat, I should clarify.
Yep, Dance and Mazomo there, both driving for the Fitstar Motorsports outfit, and they are resplendent in their dark blue liveries here today. But certainly we've got a lovely colourful field of cars in every heat for this Hard and Fast series, and one of my favourite things to see on iRacing is actually Rallycross liveries, because you really get some wild designs.
Yeah, certainly do. But for the drivers, little time to look at the liveries now, and they have to think about the racetrack. Where's the Porsche pace car going to head? I'll tell you what, it's going very slowly, 48 kilometers an hour. It is dawdling. You often hear in Formula 1 Lewis Hamilton complaining about the pace car going too slow. Well, if he was in this race, I'd love to hear the radio messages he had. So, pace car is going to head to the left, and the field is going to head through the chute. Coming to the green for the first time today, it's Robertson and Dance, and it is a slow crawl. We get past, little funnel. We wait, we wait. We wait.
The green flag, now the green flag flies right in the middle of turn 1.
Okay.
Goodness me. And Jake Robertson was right on it, accelerated at the apex. He's already gapped them massively.
So the start-finish line is at turn 1, is it? Maybe?
No, I think they had to wait for the pace car to park it before the green flag was flown.
It's such a long trip to pit lane. So that's interesting. Maybe drivers will want to lay a long way off the pace car in future heats. But nonetheless, we're going ready for 5 laps. Top 2 go straight through to the feature, as always. And it's Robertson leading Dance, Feldman in 3rd, Mizomo 4th, Stevens under a lot of pressure at the moment from Weston Newell in 5th.
Yeah, running a bit wide there, and there's contact. Stevens, oh goodness me, manages to recover it though with a bit of extra throttle, but Newell looking very aggressive there as the 2 Beetles battle at the back. Meanwhile, looks like Simon Mizomo started to pile the pressure on Feldman there, but Feldman very smooth in that Subaru. He's managing to keep him behind.
I think I counted 5 different lines from our top 5 through that double left-hander, led by the extremely wide diamond from Robertson. Lap 3 into the books then. And it's looking pretty comfortable for our top 2.
Yeah, for 3rd place, though, definitely looks like it's starting to heat up because Feldman actually dropping to Cameron Dance in the second half of that lap. Mizomo just had a little bit of an issue himself. This is about the point where the tyres are going to start crying for a bit of mercy after you push them very hard through the first couple laps. Jake Robertson having no such issues there. He's looking very comfortable out in the front, but 2nd, 3rd, and 4th staying line astern for now.
Now remember, as we get to the end, certainly with Cameron Dance, it's never over till that checkered flag falls. He threw away a heat race win 2 weeks ago by drifting to the final corner and losing the spot.
Make sure you tune in. Make sure you take a look on SimSpeed on YouTube to see the replay of that race at Mid-Ohio. Certainly was a cracker.
It was. that start finish line was just about as dicey as this one, actually. As we begin our final lap. And I think Dance had a similar issue last week, if I'm not mistaken, for the finals transfer spot. But right now, he's holding it, and surely nothing could go wrong now.
I think you just jinxed it, Ryan.
I'm hoping I did, to be honest.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. There's still a few more corners to go here for our leader, Jake Robertson. But looks like Dance, Feldman, and Mazomo struggling to make any kind of headway on each other in these final laps. But there goes our leader, rounding the final turn.
Good stuff from Jake Robertson. Driven clear, and he's going to take out heat race number 1 in his first heat in Hard and Fast 2020 competition. Cameron Dance does hold on for second. Feldman, Mizomo, Daniel Stevens, and Weston Newell got to work their way through the consolations a little bit later on.
That they will, and instantly then into the second heat of the night, and that's how the grid is going to line up, with McLaughlin and Schultz on the front row. Kyle Stevens, our race admin, starting in third place alongside Miles Bond, and Adam Neal and Jonathan Bain rounding out the 6-car field for this one. Now, Hugh McLaughlin, certainly no slouch when it comes to putting down a good lap time and taking wins in Hard and Fast. I reckon he's going to be the favourite to win this one as we briefly look at the results from race 1.
Have you learned nothing about giving out favourites?
No, I have not.
You clearly have not. We'll see how he gets on this one then. Canvas hands full with John Schultz. No, he's fast. Kyle Stevens, we know he's fast. He chose this combination as well, don't forget. So, you know, 5 of the 6 drivers in this heat are Pace Syndicate drivers. The odd one out, well, that poor honour goes to
Jonathan Bain, actually, in the Middle Finger Racing Volkswagen Beetle.
By the way, look at where these guys are running compared to the pace car. They've learned the lesson from Heat 1.
Oh, they certainly have. The drivers do pay a lot of attention to what goes on in these heat and consolation style events. The pace car really gapping them, so we'll definitely get a proper race start this time round.
Pace car's honouring where the hell the field's gone.
My mirrors are empty.
Alright. The green flag might come out very early this time, before they even get to the start-finish line. There's a pace car. Going ever so slow. It is so slow. I've never seen a pace car go this slow before.
Well, I guess because it's the Legends road course, it's designed more for Legends cars fields that are generally slower. Pace car is now in the pits, and we're going to get going pretty soon. Almost a fake there. And oh my goodness, John Schultz faking the start again and again and again. When are we going to get a green flag?
Waiting. It's got to pull up. It's pulled up. No, it's not to do with the pace car. Green flag just wants to come out late. It's not out, but we've gone early. So here we go. McLaughlin will lead them. Schultz second, holds on. Stevens side by side with Miles Bond. Dill side by side, got the overlap. This is going to be contact, and it is. Stevens going to get turned around, gasses it up. Bumper to bumper contact as Adam Neal got a piece of it as well.
That he did. That's very unfortunate for Kyle Stevens. Just turned around initially and then turned around again. So now Adam Neal and Jonathan Bain for third place. This is certainly on, and Bain up against a squad of Pace Syndicate drivers, holding up really well, all things considered. Meanwhile, our top 2 look like they're in a world of their own. Hugh McLaughlin and John Schultz just lapping on their lonesome here at the moment. As it looks like Adam Neal might be getting a bit more pace back and starting to gap Jonathan Bain.
Yeah, he got checked up, obviously, with that little spin in front of him, but it didn't hurt him too much by the looks of things. Miles Bond is going Tokyo Drift spec, and he's absolutely nailed it. Through the double left-hander, hit both apexes beautifully.
Oh, he's doing it again. He's doing it again.
Right.
Look at that.
It's god-awful slow, but, you know, it's fun.
Yeah, well, he's given the position. I think that actually might have been his method of redressing the position to Kyle Stevens to avoid getting a penalty. Remember, it was contact between them that actually put Stevens out, but Bond is continuing to drift his way around the circuit. He's definitely not. He's definitely not stopping, but looks like our
Our race leaders have checked out.
They have. I mean, I don't really know what more to say at the moment. And all right, there we go. That's more like it. That looks like a proper leaderboard right there. I was looking at it thinking, aren't those the results from race 1?
Yeah, Hugh McLaughlin leading by 1.6 over Schultz. It's 2 seconds then back to Neil, who was within a thousandth of a second in terms of lap time. Now he's 3/10 away, so Schultz is getting quicker. Jonathan Bain is fading away from Neil. And Stevens is running away from Bond, who's well off the back of the field. And they are about as elongated as you'll see a field in a heat race in hard and fast. But we're on to our final lap. It's only 5 laps for our heats. We'll get more and more laps under our belt as we get through our mains and into our feature. Hugh McLaughlin will pick up a couple bucks into the kitty for winning this heat.
He actually will, because the series has cash prizes on offer. Jeremy Clark is currently leading the money standings. He's got $50 cash in hand from his results over the course of the season. But Hugh McLaughlin across the line to take victory in Heat 2. Excellent drive.
John Schultz will go straight through into the feature with him. Adam Neal got to go through the mains. So too, Jonathan Bain, Carl Stevens, Miles Bond as well. Bond is still in the middle of the circuit. By the way the pace car enters pit lane is quite creative. It basically four-wheel drifts its way through a hairpin it has to do around the end of the concrete wall.
Safety car driver showing off his skills in that section of the track, I'd imagine. But there we go. Final car across the line, Miles Bond, and absolutely backs it into the first couple of turns. And once again, there's your results. McLaughlin and Schultz go through into the feature with Neil, Bain, Stevens, and Bond. The rest of your 6 from this heat. Now it is time for Heat 3.
Jeremy Clark on the pole, Michael Skurlock next to him, Mia Rose in 3rd, Adam Cannell in 4th, William Murray, and Jamie Taylor starting 5th and 6th.
Now, this is going to be quite the interesting one, because Michael Skurlock has shown quite a bit of pace at this round as they move away behind the pace car.
And we know Mia is quick as well.
Absolutely. She's.
Was that the thing? She was mugs of a podium last week, wasn't she?
Yeah, and I think she suffered a penalty as well for contact earlier on, so still has yet to really make good on her potential. But Rose is certainly a driver that has what it takes to win in this series. But Jeremy Clark is in front of her, and he is the championship leader.
He is, and he's picked up 50 bucks this season. And we are 3 weeks in. Not been bad by his part, has it?
No, certainly not. He's been one of the standout drivers from the series so far, along with Hugh McLaughlin, Alex Purley, and of course our relative newcomer, Matthew Feldman.
These guys not laying quite as far off the pace car. This is about in the middle between Heat 1 and Heat 2 in terms of distance to the pace car. Who we should watch as it goes through the hairpin, because it takes the normal road course and then does a hairpin around the concrete to get onto turn 1 of the normal road course. Right here, it'll take a right around the hairpin, and it looks very unnatural.
Woo! All right. Goodness me, what amazing car control. But we're about to get a green flag here from our drivers.
Rear steering in that car.
Oh, Jeremy Clark goes early. That swamped Mia. She's back down there now behind Skurlock and suffering a lot.
Adam Cannell threw it into turn 2, almost got into the back of her.
Side by side for the final 2 positions, as well as we see Murray get by Taylor. But it's on for this lead. Jeremy Clark has not been able to get away from Michael Skurlock.
Yeah, this is tight as we've seen it on lap 1. Skurlock takes a shallower entry up to the final corner, we'll call it. Officially 7 turns on this track. Skurlock under a lot of pressure from Mia, though, for that second final transfer spot.
They really are pushing it to the limit, aren't they? All the way out to the grass in that runoff area. And Rose with a slightly tighter line there as Skurlock runs wide. Still got the inside for the right-hander, but Mia Rose is going to have the advantage of the late apex. Better traction.
Got the curb, but it didn't seem to unsettle her too much. As they call it in America, turtle curbs, for some god unknown reason. Or, as normal people refer to them, sausage curbs.
They're more like half sausages, aren't they?
And they're blue. So they'd be very off sausages at that as well. As Skurlock's pulled out a bit now, Clark is looking reasonably comfortable. He did a 37.49, so he was 4 tenths quicker than Skurlock last lap. Mia seems to be a bit more confident on the brakes. That's where she's finding her time, I think. But I don't know if it's potentially hurting her on the exits.
Well, I guess definitely through that final right-hander, it can definitely help you. But Skurlock seems to just be taking a little bit more speed into the corners, and he's not suffering that much on exit. Does put a couple wheels off, but that's no biggie in these rallycross cars. Looks like...
Sorry, Reese, finish your point. I thought you were done.
well, I was more improvising. You go ahead.
Let's say, have you noticed how many cones there are around this racetrack?
Yep.
There are quite a few, and I am loving every lap I'm seeing a different cone go flying, getting drop hunted across the circuit. Most of them by Mia, who's having no regard for cone safety at the moment.
Yeah, certainly. I think there might be a couple cone lobbying groups speaking out against her after this, but you certainly take a lot of liberties around this track, and those cones, the amount of them around this track, you don't see them on the Roval course. There we go. Staying true to form. It looks like the gap has stabilized between Rose and Skurlock here. And that is the final lap, yeah.
That crept up on me, actually. Jeremy Clark, he'll get the race win. It's heat win for Jeremy Clark, not his first of the season. He gets it done very easily. Skurlock second, Rose home in third, and then Adam Cannell, William Murray, and Jeremy Taylor make up the rest of your field. Very quick heats. Got to say, I think this is a good example of how to handle track limits. You've got a little bit of tarmac on certain corners, but most of it is grass, and when there is tarmac runoff, there's not much of it.
Yeah, I agree. Certainly pushes the drivers to really behave themselves in certain corners where that is required. But we got a grid here for Heat 4. Ruwalt and Purley on the front row. Jordan Pruden and Dave Roberts on the second row. And Ricky Coles, our fifth and final car there on his lonesome. This is the final heat of the night as they pull away behind the pace car. And then we're going to get into our consolations, which will certainly be spicy.
That they will. So only the 5 cars in this one, which in theory makes the odds slightly better. Purley is having fun, trying to warm up his tyres or his brakes or something. The car's bouncing up and down like a lowrider at the moment.
Definitely shows you how much suspension travel you have in these rallycross cars. They are, of course, set up like rally cars, almost some synchronized bobbing there between the drivers. But they do run very low spring rates.
Between us, Reese. Me, it's bouncing up and down like a lowrider, and you go for the actual technical explanation of how good the suspension is on the cars.
Yeah, that's it. You got to have a good balance between those sorts of things. But the mechanical grip is what's most important around here. And Alex Purley, being a drifter, certainly no stranger to manipulating the grip of his cars. But of course, he is starting in second for this one. Ruwalt is going to have the advantage off the line.
All right, so pace car is taking the left, and it will take the exuberant right, and eventually we'll get the green flag for our field as we come through the chute. I think at this point, it's in the hands of Ruwalt. But I think there's a bit of a tentative, no one really knows when the pace car's in, so you've got to wait. Because the green flag doesn't come out until after the start-finish line. He decides to go, and Hurley almost came across the nose of Jordan Pruden as Rewalt gets the jump.
He does indeed, and Ricky Coles briefly having a look at Dave Roberts, but nothing doing there for the moment. Rewalt definitely with the jump and the advantage, and it looks like Purley almost gapping Pruden a bit there in the middle sector, so you're going to want to get those tyres up to temperature quick sharp. Bit of a wider line from Pruden into the right-hander over the crest. It gives him a bit of an advantage down the chute, but Hurley has definitely consolidated that second place.
1 second across the top 3. Look at the run from Pruden. It's not consolidated at all. That was tight. Very tight. As they almost came together. Now he's got to the inside, giving him a touch. He slides. He gets a hit. He gets another hit. He saves it. He's still sliding. Has he saved it? He has. Good job.
Lost 2 positions, though. He is all the way at the back of the field, and now Alex Purley has a nice gap that he can deal with. But Pruden now has to find his way through these 2 guys, Roberts and Coles. And Ricky running wide there and into the wall in his Fiesta, so that's a free position there for Jordan Pruden.
That's a mistake often associated with turn 1 of our regular road course, Tubbs Heartburn turn. Cole's proving it is possible to make that mistake on this track as well. I think he was under pressure from Pruden, who was looming very large in his mirrors. Hurley will be thankful, because I don't think he's actually got the outright pace over Roberts. Not in the first 2 laps.
Yeah, 37.4.
Yeah, Roberts closed in a little bit. I can't look at the exact margin in terms of lap time, because Roberts' last 2 laps have not counted. He's picked up an off-track.
Yeah, of course, your lap time is invalidated. Of course, your race lap still counts in terms of position, but the actual time is not recorded if you make too egregious of a track limits error. So, continuing to chase is Jordan Pruden, but it looks like his car might have given up the ghost a little bit. Those tyres getting overheated as the white flag does indeed come out, and James Rewalt looks like he's under no pressure at all.
We shall not be caught out by the white flag lap this time. 37.495 for Rewalt. 37.355, so Purley's pace coming back to him, but it'll be a bit too late to get the heat win. Roberts again with an off-track, and Pruden with a 37.522. 38 flat for Ricky Coles. So the spread through the field is not that bad in terms of overall pace. But out front, James Rewalt, over the crest he comes, down the hill he rolls. Heat win for James Rewalt going through to the feature.
Excellent job from him and Alex Purley crossing the line to finish in second. He gets a ticket straight through. Dave Roberts, Jordan Pruden, and Ricky Coles are going to have to join everyone else in the consolation events. And got to say, Pruden recovering there to finish in third, a fine job.
Every single one of our pole sitters won their heat.
That just goes to show how much of an advantage the starting driver has up at the front row. But we have 9 cars in our C main, and we're hearing that Dave Roberts has gotten a penalty.
Yeah, look at that, 55 seconds off he was.
Yeah, that would have been for the track limits.
That means he's going to be dumped into the C main here because he finished dead last. Let's have a look at our C main starting grid then. Ready for what is only 6 laps. 9 cars, 4 spots up for grabs in the B main. Adam Cannell, Ricky Coles, Daniel Stevens, Kyle Stevens, William Murray and Dave Roberts. He'll start 6. Weston Newell, Miles Bond, and then Jamie Taylor from 9th. We saw how quickly 5 laps went by. 6 laps is not very much.
No, and when you consider lap times around here only around 37, 38 seconds, it means the race is over within about 4 minutes. So the series definitely living up to its name.
Our B main will only be 6 laps as well. Our feature will be 13. The B main will include 4 people from this heat plus a 6 already in it. So it'll be a 10-car grid. They'll be vying for 7 spots in the feature to join the 8 people already booked in there. So it'll be a 14-car feature. You could almost hear the cogs ticking over in my brain then as I tried to work out that equation.
I was listening very hard. I definitely was. It's interesting to see that these guys are not staying as far back from the pace car as we've seen. I think they've wised up to the unique nature of this track. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't make a difference. But we are about to get our green flag and Cannell on pole.
What will a 9-car field bring us? Waiting, going. Green flag is out. They waited till after the green flag. They were caught napping. Ricky Coles almost had the jump on Cannell. In fact, he has. He's got the momentum. What a crossover. Through turns 1 and 2. Inside for 3. There's contact. And he gets turns.
Coles got shafted there. That's a big shame. He had made the move, and Adam Cannell just made some contact with his rear bumper and spun him right around. But Cannell in the lead. Kyle Stevens with the big move smashes Adam Cannell almost out of the way, gives it the advantage to Daniel Stevens. He is now in the lead.
One Stevens helps the other Stevens.
Cannell
slow through that little chute. Kyle Stevens right behind, looking and not
Stevens
finding.
With a slide.
The other Stevens is sliding up at the front through 1 and 2. Cannell sends a cone flying to low orbit. It's
Stevens
so tight.
Oh, it certainly is. That battle for 3rd place is something else, because Miles Bond right on the back of Kyle Stevens and almost making contact. There we go. Miles Bond and Kyle Stevens come together for the 2nd time tonight, and once again, Kyle is not the benefactor of it, so that is a huge shame for him.
That elevated William Murray up 2 positions. It now puts Miles Bond in the final transfer spot with a bit of a gap back to Dave Roberts in 5th. Who found the fence? William Murray.
Ouch.
Opens
he was
the door
running in
Bond.
3rd.
He was. He still is for now. Not
Dave
anymore.
Roberts is going to get an advantage here as well. Great exit from Dave
Transfer
and Murray.
spot.
Yeah, early on the brakes there was Murray, and Dave Roberts now with that ticket into the B main. Adam Cannell and Daniel Stevens are really going at it, meanwhile, for the lead of the race. Stevens really struggling, I think, to keep the grip of that car up. Noticed him sliding through the corners quite a bit, and Adam Cannell looking very aggressive, hard on the brakes, having a slight look into these turns. Now, you see him gearing up for the 2nd right-hander. Gives him a better exit down this very short following straight. But if he's close enough to Stevens, he can use that to vault his way past, as we saw on lap 1 with Ricky Coles.
Remember the order in which the 4 cars finish at the front of this C main will determine how they line up at the back of the B main. So getting that 1 extra position here for Adam Cannell, even though he's in the transfer spot, is very crucial. He's going to put him 1 spot further up the grid for the B main.
Absolutely will. Dave Roberts in the transfer spot as we take a look at Weston Newell, who is really challenging him, but goes a bit too hard into the turn, really extends the track, does Weston. Does give him a slight acceleration advantage, but the amount that he had lost through the preceding 2 turns is just too much, and he's lost even more time. Opens himself up to an attack from William Murray, and he goes on by. So that is 5th place retained there for Mr. Murray.
But it'll be a place short unless something dramatic happens in front of him as we get the white flag one more time in our C main. Daniel Stevens leading with a good lap there, pulling out the margin by 6/10 over Adam Cannell.
Looks like Stevens has done enough here. He's just got to take it nice and easy through these hairpins. And that'll be all is required. Adam Cannell just not able to keep up the pace in those final few laps. But a great drive from Daniel Stevens, I have to say. Took advantage of the lap 1 shenanigans and never looked back.
Race win, heat win. Stevens goes through. Adam Cannell goes with him. Miles Bond fights through Java to take 3rd. And Dave Roberts just squeezes through as well. Unfortunately, William Murray, Weston Newell, Kyle Stevens, and Jeremy Taylor, Ricky Coles as well, who had a fantastic start, packing their bags and they're going home.
It looks like Western Newell got a track limits incident violation as well. He's been given a big penalty. You see the gap there, 55 seconds behind the leader. But that's all she wrote for the C main. Now it's time for the B main, and we got 10 cars in this one. It's headed up by Matthew Feldman and Adam Neal. Mia Rose and Jordan Pruden take up the second row. Simon Mazzomo and Jonathan Ben in 5th and 6th. And then we have our top 4 finishers from the C main: Stevens, Cannell, Bond, and Roberts. This is going to be fun.
Add 1 car to the mix. 7 going through to the feature. We saw last week a couple of one person missing out scenarios. That won't be the case. 3 will miss out in this one, which means at least one of our drivers from the C main won't make it.
And at least you have 2 shoulders to cry on if you miss out.
You're exactly right. Who are we waiting to grid up? No one. All right, here we go. Under the pace car lap. Remember our start, Cannell almost got caught napping.
Yeah, I reckon Cannell was waiting on purpose for the actual green flag call to go, but once again there is a little reaction time to factor into that.
Yeah, it seemed like he went quite a bit after though, didn't it?
On our end, because
on our end, of course, yeah.
Yeah, the drivers actually get it a lot quicker than we do. Because when we watch it on replay in sim, there's about half a second difference between what actually happens and what we see.
Wait, really?
Yeah, tiny little bit of latency. But that is just the nature of the beast.
Still the best game or simulation out there for a broadcasting perspective as we get ready to show it off again for our B main. 6 laps, so no extra laps, despite the extra car. Feldman versus Neal on the front row. Mia Rose, Jordan Pruden, 3rd and 4th. Pruden, surprised to see him in this B main. And now we wait.
Yeah, Adam Neal will have to get behind Matthew Feldman there. Doesn't want to pass him before the start-finish line. Let's see when they decide to go. Waiting, and they are away. There we go.
That was the latest of them all today. Good start for Feldman, though. Good start for Rose as well. Gets into 2nd, and Adam Neal gets turned around by Pruden. Right onto oncoming traffic. I think that was Daniel Stevens that got a piece of it. Roberts, Bond. Oh, it's all very tight and messy. They sort themselves out.
Yeah, goodness me. For these lower positions, they're really fighting hard. You see Daniel Stevens struggling to get it going there in front of Adam Cannell. But it looks like up in front, Matthew Feldman has got quite a bit of company because Rose and Mazzomo have managed to stick with him here.
They have. Top 3 have definitely broken away from Pruden, 4th from Bain, Bond, Roberts, who has the final transfer spot ahead of Daniel Stevens. And then Adam Cannell in 9th. Adam Neal, the big loser on lap 1, obviously, after getting turned around.
Well, it's a big shame for Adam Neal after starting in that 2nd spot. Certainly had what it took to finish in the top 7, but he's nowhere near it now. Rose and Mazzomo, on the other hand, they look like they're starting to close up. Mazzomo has had some good showings in this series. Did very well in the practice timesheets back at Barber last round. And Rose going very deep into that double hairpin section, just trying to maintain as much grip on the inside.
Bond running side by side with Jonathan Bain. Got the inside, it put him on the outside for this right-hander. We go for yet another crossover move. He looks for the run, he gets it, but he runs almost into the back of Bain. He had to lift off. And now Bain acting as a cork in the bottle for this battle.
Oh, and Ben's gone way too hard into turn 1, into the wall, and that's going to be him out of the transfer spot. Huge shame for him. So that means that now, as we take a look at Daniel Stevens, who was just outside the transfer spot, He's added
He
a
still is.
couple new stickers to his car for this week. Says on the back, "This way up." Of course, I think that's a comment on the amount of incidents that Stevens has had in this series through no fault of his own. But he's doing quite well for himself here, putting a lot of pressure on for the transfer spot with Jonathan, with Roberts.
Sliding,
oh, there we go.
Opens the door. One goes through. That was Cannell. Stevens can't capitalise. There's only one lap to go once it gets to the line here.
Oh, slide for Stevens. I think he's lost out on that.
Rose and Mazoma are lapping slightly quicker than Feldman, but I don't think they're going to be close enough to get there.
Yeah, they're actually spaced out a bit too. And we're hearing that there is a driver close on a penalty for incident count as well. So our director Jay, of course, is not going to tell us who it is, just to keep us on our toes. But this final lap battle looks like it's going to work out in favour of Matthew Feldman, because he just didn't look back from the start of this race and has kept it nice and clean and smooth the whole way through.
He has. He'll come across the line. He'll take out our B main win. He goes through to the feature. Mia Rose, Mizomo, they'll join him. And in that transfer spot battle.
Oh, it was close. Stevens almost got Roberts there. They crossed the line side by side, actually, and they've both gone into the wall for their troubles as well. That was a fantastic B main.
It was 15 car feature for our feature.
Well,
Just
you roasted me for redundancy last week,
Yeah,
Ryan. I'll roast you for redundancy now.
That's why I paused. I knew what I said.
Oh,
That's
no.
the results of your B main there. Let's take a look at our starting grid for our feature race then. On the pole, it will be Jake Robertson. Hugh McLaughlin will start alongside him. Then Jeremy Clark and James Rowell from row 2. Cameron Dance and Mike and John Schultz will start 5th. That's not right. We'll start 5th and 6th. There you go. Michael Skolak and Alex Purley on row 4. Matthew Feldman, Mia Rose on row 5.
And then in 11th place, we've got Simon Mazzomo with Jordan Pruden alongside him. Bond, Cannell and Roberts round out your 15-car field. And they are pulling off behind the pace car. We just hear from Jay that it was Miles Bond who was very close on incidents. So, man, he's very lucky that he just scraped into this feature grid, because if he had gotten over that incident limit, we wouldn't be seeing him here.
So 13 laps. This is going to be wild. Jake Robertson asking in the sim if he can give the pace car space. He's been told it's up to him. As we've seen, though, not sure how much of a difference it'll make. If he does give it space, I reckon he could go early if he wanted to.
Yeah, that's the thing. We haven't really seen a driver go super early yet. I think the good etiquette would be to wait until all the cars have gone through the chute, because you definitely don't want to do a race start right in the middle of that narrow chicane.
You know, but also good advantage to you, because you're through it and they're not.
This is true.
All right, ready for the feature. Here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, running the Legends Road Course short version. Pace car's gone in the hands of our debutant, Jake Robertson. Hugh McLaughlin alongside him through the chicane.
The suspense is killing me.
3, 2, 1, let's go racing here from Charlotte. Away we go. Good job from Robertson. 3 wide already, third on the pack.
Oh, got a car almost into the wall. John Schultz being forced wide by Michael Skurlock, side by side into the turn, and Schultz just getting a little tap from Skurlock for his troubles, but he recovers it. As Alex Purley now running wide and giving Mia Rose a little bit of an advantage further up.
Tremendous start from everyone. No incident, so to speak of, through the first half of the lap. As Robertson, with McLaughlin chasing, Clark, Dance, Rewalt, your top 5. Great launch from Pearly. He's picked up a couple of positions to put himself into 6th from 8th. Mia Rose up 3 spots as well from 10th, now running in 7th.
That's a good start there. As we take a look at Jordan Pruden getting into the back of Alex Purley there. Forces him wide, and this is going to give the advantage to Simon Mazzomo. Matthew Feldman getting away with that. It was Feldman, not Purley. My mistake. But further up, we take a look at Alex Purley, and he has got a face full of car at the moment, chasing down Cameron Dance.
Who in turn is trying to chase down Jeremy Clark. Lap times across the top 2, very close. Clark a couple tenths off. And everyone behind him around the same. Does Rewalt look close enough? Purley tried to follow him.
Oh, Dance has been tapped there. Rewalt just getting into the back of him and backing him up into Purley as well, but looks like they've all managed to just get away with that. It's given a slight advantage to Mia Rose there behind them. Oh, Purley going a bit too hard into the right-hander, runs wide, and now he has lost touch with the battle between Dance and Rewalt.
Just a little bit off, isn't he? Dance using up a lot of the curve on the inside. Helps the car pretty nicely. Schultz, though, side by side, round the outside of Mia Rose. Gets that done nicely. And she now tucks in back into line and stops Skurlock from getting by.
For good measure. Goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. She's got the inside now for the right-hander.
That's a closing gap.
Oh, yeah. Nah, that wasn't going to work. Poor John Schultz. He's collected by just about everyone, and that's some massive damage for him. Hopefully he still manages to keep it going, because if he can see the finish, then at the very least he'll have that.
Looking at our top 5, there's not much of a gap, but Robertson's got just enough. McLaughlin's throwing cones at him.
Not having much of an effect, though.
Clark and a lot of pressure from Dance as well. Seems like a very tough place to pass, this track.
Yeah, very flowing open corners for the most part, and the straights between them aren't very long. You see there, major late apex action from Jake Robertson and Hugh McLaughlin running a little wide on exit as well. They're going to have to be careful of that. Remember, they still have an incident limit to think about in this feature. Cameron Dance with the left rear not touching the ground at all through the corners is really pushing the back of Jeremy Clark here, the championship leader. And he's brought James Rewalt into it as well. Tiny bit of contact in the right-hander, so now Clark definitely knows Dance is there.
Across the line, lap times, 37.491 for Dance, 5.52 for Clark, 5.67 for...
Oh, here we go. Oh, a little bit of a look there for Cameron, but the door immediately shut.
Robertson at 5.59, so Dance is actually the fastest car out of the top 5 in that lap. Rewalt was even quicker. Rewalt's given him a hit.
And that's allowed Jeremy Clark to get away from them there. That's a shame, but fortunately, they've managed to keep it going. Alex Purley has a bit of a lifeline here now, thanks to that contact. Oh, he goes very hard in, almost hit the wall for good measure as well. Trying to line up a massive launch down this straight, but got to be very careful in that section.
Robertson's really pulled out in the last lap or two from McLaughlin, and he's looking more likely to lose out to Clark here. He's all over the back of him, throwing it into the right-hander, trying to generate some sort of run, or an overlap anywhere he can find it. We're on lap 8 of this 13-lap feature race.
I tell you
Robertson's gap is getting bigger and bigger.
Absolutely is, and I reckon that incident between Cameron Dance and James Rewalt gave Jeremy Clark the little kick that he needed to really start advancing on McLaughlin. He's trying his best to put a move up the inside. He has a look, but ultimately backing out of it. Hugh really going for that using all the road strategy. Nearly contact between himself and Clark, but once again, amazingly, they managed to keep it clean. What's going to happen down through this corner? McLaughlin sliding a little bit. He's really playing around with the rear, and oh my goodness, that's side by side between Simon Mazzomo and Matthew Feldman. And looks like they managed to get it done.
McLaughlin quite slow now, really holding up Jeremy Clark. Robertson quite slow as well. Like, it's Dance and Rubold, the fastest cars at the moment.
Yeah, interesting how the two cars losing pace are Ford Fiestas, while the two cars gaining pace are Volkswagen Beetles. I don't know if that means anything in particular, but it's certainly something interesting to think about. And now Dance is right back on the back. Oh, he has too.
Right side with damage, and now Pearly alongside him. The big Subaru against the little Beetle. There's contact, and little Beetle almost finds the fence. He gets it on the back of Pearly. And that was Mia Rose getting by both of them, thanks to that.
Great run from Mia there, staying out of trouble, keeping the nose clean. But now, the second place battle back, you can't see much of it because Hugh McLaughlin's wing is blocking it, but that is indeed Jeremy Clark behind him. And yeah, that's
quicker than the leader last time by for Cameron Dance.
Goodness me, that's fantastic pace from Dance. But there's only 2 laps to go. He doesn't have much time to take advantage of it.
And now he's being held up by McLaughlin and Clark as well. They're lapping in the 37.9s. Robertson the 37.7. Surely Clark has a dive.
Oh, running a little wide. Dance goes in hard.
Hit from Dance.
Oh. Take it easy, boy.
Of Cameron Dance up the hill. You can see how easy it would be to hit that concrete on the right, like Rewalt did. One more lap around the Charlotte infield road course. As Dance throws it in deep, Clark goes deeper. It's a game of chess on the brakes there, it looked like. He shows the nose. Clark, make sure the door was not open. That might be the gap right there.
Yeah, looks like it. Side by side between Dance and Clark, but yeah, Clark. Oh, Cameron Dance.
Almost. So close.
Almost. But it looks like Jake Robertson coming to the end of this 13-lap race. His hard and fast debut could not have gone better. He takes the win.
Race win from Robertson. Fantastic stuff as they battle to the line behind. And the gap between Clark and Dance, 400ths of a second.
Really came down to it between them there, didn't it? But all up, that was a great race to round off the night. And I definitely think Jake Robertson can come away from that nice and happy. Let's take a look at a replay, though, thanks to our mates at Monum Simulation. This is the final lap between Clark and Dance, and you see Cameron Dance having another look up the inside there and actually getting the better exit. They almost crossed the line. Well, they actually did cross the line side by side and made contact going across it, but the result stands. And, of course, everyone firing it into the turn like it's a party. There's another view of it.
Yeah, Dance decided he didn't want to brake for turn 1 until he was well and truly past that line. That's where the line officially is, but I'm not too certain it is. They crossed the line right there. Yeah.
Oh, man. Goodness me. Well, at the end of the night then, it's Jake Robertson taking victory, 1.3 seconds ahead of Hugh McLaughlin, who put in another excellent performance. Jeremy Clark, championship leader, completes the podium. Cameron Dance and Mia Rose round out the top 5, with Alex Purley coming home 6/10 behind her. James Rewalt in 7th, but that could have been a podium finish for him if things had gone his way. Skurlock, Bond and Pruden round out the top 10.
Mazzomo home in 11th, ahead of Feldman, Cannell, Roberts, and Schultz, making up your field. Schultz, unfortunately, 8 laps down. Didn't see the finish of our feature, but what a night of racing again, and hard and fast. 6, 7 races over the course of just 60 minutes. And plenty of fantastic action right throughout. Next time out is going to be just as wild as we continue our wilder trip across some of the wackiest short tracks you've seen in the iRacing service.
I believe we're going to Irwindale next week, the figure 8 race. Irwindale is the next round, and then we go to Hell the week after, which is certainly going to be an interesting sequence of events. But yeah, figure 8 track for next round, Ryan. There's no bridge, no crossover. So
are you sure that's not Hell?
Well, to some people it might be. To some people it might be, but I cannot wait for it to go off. Once again, a great night of racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but the figure 8 is certainly going to throw more than a spanner into the works.
Make sure you tune in at the same time next Wednesday night here on SimSpeed TV to catch that wild night of action. Make sure you like us on social media at SimSpeed Sports Network as well, and subscribe to us on YouTube at SimSpeed TV so you don't miss a moment. From us, every day of the week, we've pretty much got a broadcast. But for tonight, that's all. From myself, Ryan Jones, and from Reese Gardner alongside Jay Kennedy behind the scenes. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness! Half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?